Hello, this is Manesh Patel with ichimokutrade.com and alerttrades.com. This workshop is going to go through and show you exactly how to install the IMTF indicator for Tradestation. Okay, so let's begin. Before we begin, let's go for our normal disclaimer to state this is for education use only. We're not soliciting you to buy or selling a particular instrument. If you do so, you're doing that at your own risk. All information is owned by EII Capital Group, cannot be copied or distributed without our written permission. We are broker neutral, but this presentation is for Tradestation installation, so this is going to be for Tradestation specifically. Okay, before we begin the installation, let's go for some basic information that you need to know in order to start the installation process, because you have to have certain requirements in order for the indicator to work. So let's go for them one by one. First, this is only available for 9.5 and above. And the reason why we didn't do it for 9.1 is that the information that we're using on the technology for Tradestation we're using is 9.5 and above, and we want to make sure all the bug fixes and all that stuff are in there, so it's specifically to 9.5 version. I know a lot of people think 9.1 is stable, but unfortunately there's no way we could sit there and do it for 9.1 and still be bug free, as I call it. We'll continuously try to do it for 9.1, but right now it's for 9.5 and above. Okay. Charting. This is only for charting only, and you're going to see why. We're processing over 7 to 15 different time frames at one time in real time, everything from 1 minute all the way up to daily, weekly time frame. Therefore, it's not going to be a fast process to do so, and that's one of the reasons why we're not making it available for radar screen and scanner. Okay, and that's also one of the reasons why we're offering this very cheap, because it's only charting. This is a visual aspect for things to do. Now, it will be fast after you load the data one time because the information is stored in cache, but the very first time you load a particular instrument for a time frame, it will be a little slow because Tradestation has to download the data into cache, but once it's in cache, it'll load faster. It's only going to be available for the App Store. It's going to be exclusive access. What does that mean? That means if you go to the App Store and you search for this, you're not going to find it. It's something that we have to exclusively give you access to, and I'm going to show you exactly what that means and how to use that for installation purposes in just a moment. Next, as I mentioned before, it's not the fastest thing out there. We're telling you that right now. And the reason why is there's no way you could crunch over 7 time frames of data, real time from 1 minute up to weekly, for going back into history for if 1 year, 5 years, or 2 years, or so forth, in a short amount of time. So we're doing this as fast as we can. We've optimized the code, but I just want to let you know that if you're looking for a chart to appear with dots and crosses and all the support resistances within a second, you're not going to get that at all. It typically takes anywhere from 15 seconds to about 30 seconds, depending on how many years of data that you're looking to load. The short amount of data that you're looking to load, the faster it'll be. Okay, and here you're going to be able to specify the number of years of data you want to load. So if you want it to be faster, you're going to load 1 year, 2 years, or so forth. If you're looking for more history and you're looking for higher time frames, then you're going to sit there and load for 5 years or more. Email for this product, we gutted the price, so the support we have available for it is not going to be via phone support, it's via email, info@eiicapital.com. Okay, we're already gone for beta testing for months, so there's a lot of bugs that pretty much been resolved, so hopefully there won't be any at all, since we had a 6-month beta program for this. But if there are any issues, you could email us at info@eiicapital.com. Also, please don't expect a one-day turnaround. We typically try to get to everything within a day. Sometimes it could take anywhere from 1 to 3 business days to respond back, depending on how many emails we have. But our response time right now is being typically 1 to 2 business days, moving forward with everything that we've been doing. Let's now begin step by step by going through the installation process, okay, and go for any hiccups that you may run into the installation process to make this easy. First, we have to give you exclusive access. That means once you purchase the product, that means you will be going to www.ichimokutrade.com/tradestation. That's pretty much where you purchase the product. Once you purchase the product, then at that point we'll give you access to that particular product. Now, Whenever you purchased a product, you have to give us 2 pieces of information. So let me show you what those information pieces are. Okay, so in Tradestation, in order for us to give you exclusive access, we need 2 pieces of information. You should be putting them into the order form. If you don't, then what's going to happen is it's going to be a slower process for us to give you access, because we have to email you or give you a call to get this information. Once we get this information, then we can give you access to it. But basically, if you go to Tradestation, go under the help menu and then go to about Tradestation, this is pretty much where you're going to get. So you're going to have the customer ID and the network ID. We need these 2 pieces of information in order to give you access. Once we have that, then what we'll do is we'll go into our management console in the Tradestation App Store and we'll give you access to the indicator. Okay. Once you have access to it, you will get an email from the Tradestation App Store. This comes from Tradestation directly, okay? And it'll basically say here in the subject line, Tradestation Trading App Store exclusive access granted. When you see this email, that means you now have access to it. All you have to do is click on this link here while Tradestation open, and it'll automatically take you to the installation process. So you'll be able to click on that, install it. So it pretty much, once after you install it, it'll pretty much be a indicator in your indicator sets, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like there. But until you get this email, that means you don't have access to it. Once you get it, then you're good to go. If for some reason you don't see this email in 1 to 3 business days, then send us an email at info@eiicapital.com and we'll look at it. But please check your junk mailbox, your regular mailbox for this email, so that you could see exactly when you get it. We will be sending you out an email when we granted it to you, so you'll get 2 emails, one from us and then one from Tradestation. So in that entire process, if you don't get any of those emails, please contact us. Now, once you get that email and you click on it, basically Tradestation will pretty much go for the installation process. It'll install the indicator in your indicator set, and it'll also basically open up this workspace here called IMTF Indicator version 5. We're currently on version 5 as I'm doing this video. Of course, we'll be updating the versions as we go, and that's one thing you have to make sure you're on the latest version. But either way, what happens is that you will basically get this workspace here that we've given you, and in that workspace, I've already set up 4 different charts here, and we'll go for each one of those in just a moment. Now, you could change this to whatever time frames and charts that you want, but this is just sample data here. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do is once this workspace is here, it'll automatically pop up for GE, and you'll be able to see these time frames and everything here. You should see these dots and crosses. If you don't, or if your charts are messed up, let's go through some basic things that you may need to look at. The very first thing you may need to look at, especially if you have candlesticks on, is that you have to go under View, Chart Analysis Paralysis. Okay. Now, once you go into chart analysis paralysis, chart analysis preferences, you'll see this option here. It'll basically be on the general tab. You go to the display tab and you make sure this box is unchecked. If you don't make sure that's not unchecked, you will get scenarios where basically the charts look distorted. Okay, the candlestick patterns will look distorted and stuff like that. So the very first thing you need to do is make sure that this option here is unchecked. Okay, once that's unchecked, you're good to go there. Okay, now let's zoom in on this 5-minute time frame here. Okay, and let me expand this here. Now, if you're on a lower time frame, what you need to do is you need to make sure there's enough bars for us to process the data. Okay, so if you look in this chart here and I shrink this down, key things you look for are purple dots here and then black crosses here. Okay, so if you don't see them, that means we don't have enough data. So to do that, you have to do a couple of things. One, right mouse click here, go to Format Symbols. Okay, when you go to Format Symbols, this is what it'll look like. You need to make sure if you're looking at day trading time frames, you at least have 30 days of bar data. If you're dealing with instruments that don't have 30 days of bars data, there's no way we're going to be able to crunch and give you these dots or crosses at all. Let me give you an example. If I have 1 day of data here, look what's going to happen here to this chart. Okay, and notice up here on this indicator here, it's processing data. Okay, so right here you could see this here. and you could see that it really has no dots, crosses, or shaded backgrounds at all. Let me come back in here, and I'm going to change this to 10 days of data. Okay, it's crunching right now, so it's getting the data and everything for you. Remember, it takes a couple of minutes, anywhere from about 10 to 15 seconds. If you want, you can look up here to see when it's done updating the indicator. If for some reason it's downloading data, then one thing you can do is go under View, Download Scheduler, and see if there's any data in here that it's trying to download. Sometimes if it's trying to download data here, you may have the options of basically downloading after market hours. So you may need to come in here and check in here, and then if it is downloading data and it's waiting, well, you need to right mouse click in here and say download ASAP. Okay, so that's there. So this is downloading data already. You could see there's no information here at all. And you could see that you really need to sit there and give it enough bars to process. So I'm going to kick this back to 30 days. And what will happen, notice up here it says waiting for data. So this is downloading all the data and everything for me here. Okay, and you'll see that everything will pop up in just a moment. Okay, there's your crosses and blue dots there. So if for some reason for your particular time frame you're not getting these dots and crosses or anything at all, then what happens is you're not giving us enough data. First thing you should do is go to Format Symbol, as I mentioned, and make sure you have this correct here. Okay. Second thing you could do also if you're on a higher time frame is format the indicator. So if I format my indicator here, and you'll see it here, right here, and do click on Format, then what's going to happen is it's going to take you to the input screen here. On this input screen here, let me shrink this down so you can see everything here. Right there. What you need to do is go to Inputs in here and make sure your number of years here is long enough. Okay, so remember, in order to see those crosses, which are pretty much higher time frames, you need to make sure you have enough data. So if you're seeing some charts with purple dots, which are lower time frames, that's not a problem, but not crosses, then you need to make sure this is sufficient here. We're recommending that basically you keep this to 2 to 5 years at least in order to process the data. If you want to do if you're going down to a 1 minute time frame and so forth, then you could keep this down to 1 year, but at least should be 1 year moving forward. Okay, so if you look here on a 5 minute data, we basically have this indicator set for 2 years of data, and then if you look here, this basically goes back 30 days. Okay, let me look now, take you to a 60 minute. On a 60 minute chart, we have a little different. So if I format this symbol here, you could see that basically we're going back 6 months of time here for a 60 minute time frame. And if you format the indicator, then you could see that basically we are going back 3 years. Okay, so if you look at the samples that I've done here for the different time frames, they'll give you an idea of how many bars you should have for the symbol and then also for the indicator in order to process the data. Okay, so now we have all that information in there. Let's go through and look at these dots and crosses and stuff like that. Sometimes you guys may not like basically the way how thick these crosses are or how small these dots are and stuff like that. So you could go in and change all that information. So if you just go to Format Analysis, go to Format here, and if you come in here, come into the Style section, this is where we basically have everything as points and crosses. The breakout dots stop, the overextensions, which are extension E for extreme, S for short, M for medium, are pretty much right here. Day swing, these are crosses, these are points, which are dots, and so forth. The higher time frame stuff we basically made in a cross, and you could see the thickness here. So you could go in and change the thickness, you could change in the display and all that stuff, and then you could save it. Also, if you want to change the colors, you're more than welcome to do that. The very first place I would recommend not coming in here and changing the colors, but into the input. In the input section here, this is where basically we offer the colors for everyone. So if the dot colors is right there, the cross colors are right there, and then you could control, and then also the background for a bullish setup and a bearish setup are right here. So you could control the colors here, and then you also could control the transfer transparency to make it lighter or dark and so forth there. Okay, so this basically gives you all that information there. Now the background colors, you could see it goes if it's bearish, it's going to go all the way to 0. If it's bullish, it's going to try to go to the highest point. So I would really recommend just leaving these two parameters the way they are. Okay, the other thing I always want to make sure you're doing is you want to make sure that the chart is centered with the indicator. So I always make sure, go to scaling here, make sure this says same axis as underlying data, so that make sure that basically the indicator is in conjunction with price and tied with price. So make sure that's all there. Okay, so that pretty much will go through and gave you the idea how you could change some of the values here. Some people use black background. That's no problem. I have this all set up for white background here so you guys could see that there. Now the next thing we need to cover is basically how do you get updates. In your purchase or the annual subscription, you pretty much get all the updates for free. Okay, so the way you get them is that if you log out of Tradestation and log back in, whenever there's an update Tradestation, whenever you log back in, you'll get it. Some people actually keep Tradestation running all the time, so at that point they don't get that notification. If that's the case, what you need to do is come under View here. Okay, and let me do this here so you could see it better. So come under View, and at that point what you do is you go under Tradestation Trading App Store Updates. Okay, now when you go under there, then what's going to happen is you have this here and it says, look, there's an update here. Okay, so if I click on the update here, basically what it'll do is it'll automatically, if the new version's there, it'll click there, click on update, and it'll automatically update my indicator to version 5. Okay, so that's there. But if you ever want to make sure that you have all the latest versions and so forth, just click over there and you could see here, and you could see I did that there, and you could see all my indicators in here, basically I have for the Tradestation App Store. So if you ever have a hard time trying to find the indicator, you could come in here and launch it, or what you could do is you could basically insert it through the normal methods of inserting indicators. So let me show you that. So if you come in here and right mouse click and say insert analysis techniques, what it'll do is it'll pop up your indicators in here, and if you look here, that's basically where the indicator is, and you could see it's a little different version, different format color here. The icon's a little different because that's coming from the Tradestation App Store right there. Okay, so that's basically how you find it. So you could launch it from the updates, or you could insert it from here, whichever one you want to do. That pretty much completes the tutorial. That you should have the everything that you need in order to install the indicator, and at that point you should be able to start using it for back testing, to start trading live or incorporate it into your existing system. Again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ping us at info@eiicapital.com. When you ping us, please include a chart picture. That way we could see visually what you're asking questions and stuff like that. Also keep a lookout on all the social media. We're continuously showing posts of how to use these IMTF indicators for entries and exits for various instruments and time frames. So they're great examples and great tutorials on pretty much social media, where then they're pretty much trades that we are taking and we're publishing for education and use only. So that's a great place you could see and learn how to pretty much use this for various instruments and various time frames around the world. If you have not purchased the indicator, here's the link here. ichimokutrade.com/tradestation is pretty much the link. Thank you and have a good day.